Justice is one of those things that people talk about all the time without really being specific about what they mean. Activists talk about economic justice, people and lawyers talk about criminal justice, parents, teachers, and students talk about justice, though they never use that word. When you get a grade you think you don't deserve, we find ourselves talking about what's fair, and that is talking about justice. In ancient Greek, they understand justice as harmony. In this view, a just society is one in which everyone fulfills their roles so that society runs smoothly. In that case, violating your place in the social order, even it's a place you think you don't want to hold, is considered unjust. The reason people talk about justice all the time is that it's one of the most fundamental social, ethical, and moral principles we deal with every day. For more than 2,000 years, scholars dealing with the subject of justice have divided issues of justice into three categories. Issues of distributive justice concern the fairness of the distribution of something among several people or groups. Whatever is distributed or divided can be a benefit, such as pay for work or the right to speak or vote, or it can be a burden, such as taxes, household chores, or homework. The economical, political, and social frameworks that each society has, its laws, institutions, policies, and more, result in different distributions of benefits and burdens across members of the society. These frameworks are the result of human political processes, and they constantly change both across societies and within societies over time. The structure of these frameworks is important because the distributions of benefits and burdens resulting from them fundamentally affect people's lives. Arguments about which frameworks and or resulting distributions are morally preferable constitute the topic of distributive justice. Principles of distributive justice is therefore best thought of as providing moral guidance for the political processes and structures that affect the distribution of benefits and burdens in societies, and any principles which do offer this kind of moral guidance on distribution, regardless of the terminology they employ, should be considered principles of distributive justice.
Corrective justice. Issues of corrective justice concern the fairness of the response to a wrong or injury to a person or a group. Common responses include making a person who has wronged or injured another suffer from form of punishment, give back something that was stolen, or pay for damages. The concept of corrective justice has figured prominently in debates over the formal structure and normative commitments of private law, especially tort law, over the past generation. This chapter organized those debates around two very different conceptions of the role and the significance of corrective justice in private law, especially tort law. One conception sees corrective justice as sovereign, the other sees it as subordinate. On a subordinate conception, corrective justice is an aspect of the institution of tort law, and it must be accounted for by an adequate theory of tort. On a sovereign conception, corrective justice is the master concept of the tort law. It does the explaining. In the disciplinary battles of the past few decades, economically inclined theories of tort, especially Richard Posner, have conceived of corrective justice as subordinate, whereas philosophically inclined theories have taken it to be sovereign.
Procedural justice. Procedural justice is concerned with making and implementing decisions according to fair processes. People feel affirmed if the procedures that are adopted treat them with respect and dignity, making it easier to accept even outcomes they do not like. But what makes procedures fair? First, there is an emphasis on consistency. Fair procedures should guarantee that like cases are treated alike. Any distinction should reflect genuine aspects of personal identity rather than extraneous features of the differentiating mechanism itself. Second, Those carrying out the procedures must be impartial and neutral. Unbiased decision makers must carry out the procedures to reach a fair and accurate conclusion. Those involved should believe that the intentions of the third-party authorities are benevolent, that they want to treat people fairly and take the viewpoints and needs of the interested parties into account. If people trust the third party, they are more likely to view the decision-making process as fair. Third, those directly affected by the decisions should have a voice and representation in the process. Having representations affirms the status of group members and inspires trust in the decision-making system. This is especially important for weaker parties whose voice often go unheard. Finally, the processes that are implemented should be transparent. Decisions should be reached through open procedures, without secrecy or deception. Many believe that procedural justice is not enough. Reaching fair outcomes is far more important than implementing fair processes. Others maintain that insofar as fair procedures are likely to translate into fair outcomes, they are more central importance.
Filipinos are angry over the pork barrel scam where at least 10 billion peso in public funds were allegedly pocketed by lawmakers. These funds, after all, were taxpayers' hard-earned money. With the controversial issue and the deadline of income tax returns nearing, a questions may be nagging in some taxpayers' minds. Why do we even pay taxes? Taxes are the lifeblood of government. These are used to finance basic services such as education and healthcare as well as infrastructure, all vital to the economy's growth and improvement of Filipinos' lives. Rules and regulations on tax collection are specified in the Tax Reform Act of 1997. It identifies whose duty it is to pay taxes in the country: citizen of the Philippines residing therein, non-resident citizen, individual citizen of the Philippines who is working and deriving income from abroad as an overseas contract worker, alien individual whether a resident or not of the Philippines, domestic corporation, foreign corporation. All year round, these individuals and corporations remit money to the government in the form of various taxes. The money, in turn, is used to fund the expenditures of government. Paying your taxes is considered a civic duty, although doing so is also a requirement of the law. If you do not pay your taxes, the government agency that oversees taxes will require you to pay your taxes or else face penalties. The money you pay in your taxes goes to many places. In addition to paying the salaries of government workers, your tax also helps to support common resources such as police and firefighters. Tax money helps to ensure the roads you travel on are safe and well maintained. Taxes fund public libraries and parks. Taxes are also used to fund many types of government programs that help the poor and less fortunate as well as many schools. With more tax collections, the government would be able to enlarge the scope of its priorities or expenditures.
Are taxes just? The world belongs to all of us and none of us. Taxation finances the production of goods and services that the market undersupplies, is the source of income for those in need, and is used to incentivize behavior. Some say taxation is just and some say it is theft. Immanuel Kant said, taxation was justified when it increased human autonomy by providing for people's basic survival needs or for the protection of property rights. Here are also some quotes about taxes from famous people. If taxation is theft, then what would we call the people owning as much wealth as the bottom half of the world population? It is not the tax that is the problem, It is whoever decides what to do with it. In the wrong hands, it will go to waste, but in the right hands, it will be beneficial to us all, making it just. Thus, we cannot simply say that taxes are just. It will always depend on how it is collected and being used.